Olá, queridos! Gostaríamos de dar as boas-vindas aos participantes do Encontro Internacional de Ensino de Idiomas. Somos a equipe de coordenação da Coury, que coordena os cursos de tradução e ensino de idiomas junto à Faculdade Forte. Eu sou a Carol Santiago e gostaria de apresentar a vocês o coordenador, professor José Luis Sánchez.
Obrigado, Carol. Olá, bem-vindos. Eu queria agradecer a participação de todos vocês, também dos palestrantes e dos parceiros, editoras, todas as editoras que estão apoiando este evento. Temos 4 salas. Vocês vão poder escolher a sala de espanhol, a sala de inglês, a sala de português como língua estrangeira, que a gente inicia agora também um curso disso. E temos também a sala geral, uma sala geral. Vocês podem ir de uma sala para outra sem problema nenhum, dependendo do seu interesse. Queria apresentar para vocês também a coordenadora Merichel Almarza, que coordena comigo na Forte, na CULT, nós somos a CULT, que coordena os cursos de tradução e de ensino de línguas.
Oi, tudo bem com vocês? Queria lembrar que na Faculdade Forte coordenamos cursos de ensino de língua inglesa, ensino de língua espanhola, vamos começar também ensino de língua portuguesa como língua estrangeira. E, além disso, temos cursos de pós-graduação em tradução e graduação também em tradução. No próximo mês começam já os cursos de ensino de língua inglesa, em parceria com a BRIT, que é uma instituição dos Estados Unidos de ensino, de formação de professores de inglês, e o curso de ensino de espanhol, em parceria com o Instituto Cervantes, que está hoje aqui também.
Tem toda a informação no site cultforte.com.br, cultforte com ph.com.br. Curtam o evento, aproveitem. Até mais. Tchau, tchau.
Okay, so hello everybody. Hello Cleide, I can see you now. And Alexandra, Barbara, Carol.
Morning.
Deborah, hello Deborah, Gracie, Sue, Thaisa, welcome everyone. If you could just put in the chat where you're all from, that would be great. So I can get to know you a bit more. Okay, so can you see my screen? Yep, I'm just going to put it in presentation mode. Everything okay? You can hear me, you can see the screen. Yep, okay. Just open the chat here. Okay, so Sue is from Rio and Thaisa, let's see, from Bagé, is it Bagé? And Karim from São Paulo. Okay. Foz do Iguaçu, Gracie, Botucatu. Great. Okay, well, welcome everybody. So in this part, the first part of the Encontro today, I'm going to be talking about encouraging reading using flash fiction. And first of all, I'd like to just tell you a bit about myself. So I'm an English teacher and a teacher educator. I have been for about 35 years. I'm originally from the UK. I taught in France and Germany before coming to Brazil. And I have an MA in Applied Linguistics from the University of Leicester in the UK and a postgraduate diploma in education from PUC. And I also translate and edit academic texts, especially for researchers all around Brazil in different areas. And I am a lecturer at Faculdade Forte on the BA degree in translation and interpreting, and on the postgraduate courses in translation and English teaching. So, which is what Carol and José Luis and Meritxell were just talking about in the video. Okay. So let's get started. If you have any questions, just write them on the chat. I'll be asking you some questions as well throughout the talk, okay? And we can have a discussion at the end if you want to. So first of all, let's talk about what flash fiction is. So there are three words, basically, that sum up flash fiction: brief, plot, and twist. Okay, so brief, because it has a maximum of 1,000 to 1,500 words at a stretch, right? Because a lot of flash fiction is much shorter. So that's why it's called flash, right? It has a plot, so it has a storyline. It's cohesive, and the most important, perhaps, it's engaging. And that is key for our students, because we want them to read, but sometimes, you know, especially today, a novel is quite a challenge, isn't it? So flash fiction is a great idea to get students reading. And flash fiction has a twist normally. So a twist means there's a surprise at the end. And if it's very engaging, the students will want to get to the end, and then they'll be pleasantly or not pleasantly surprised. Okay. So what is considered flash fiction? Well, of course, we have short stories or even fables. We have nanofiction. So nanofiction is really, really short. We have mini sagas, which are exactly 50 words long. Now, this is interesting because there are some competitions around the world, like in the Telegraph newspaper in Britain, where they run mini saga competitions. So they ask people to write in and write exactly 50 words. If there are 51 words or 49, they will be disqualified. And so imagine they have to be brief, they have to be engaging, and a twist. There is something else called drabble, which is 100 words. They just make up these names for these flash fiction stories. Sudden fiction, which is slightly longer, so it could be like 1,000 words, but it could be, it's very dynamic, let's say. It's longer, but it's dynamic, that's why it's called sudden. And I don't know if you've ever heard of this, literature. So it's portmanteau. Portmanteau is a mixture of two words, of Twitter and literature. Of course, Twitter is called X now, right? But we still keep this name, Twiterature. And later I'll show you a site where you can get some. Okay, so Twiterature has to be exactly the same number of characters that a tweet is. Okay, so why use flash fiction in the English language teaching classroom? Well, of course, it can be motivating for busy students. I think some of you teach adults, so they have busy days, of course, and it can be motivating. They can read it while commuting. Sometimes you can even listen to flash fiction. They can be in the gym listening to it, or all sorts of ways that they can listen or read. Okay. Actually, I was going to tell you that in France, in some train stations, they have machines, like a vending machine, where you can print out flash fiction. It's amazing. You just like pay €1, I think it is, And then you can choose the amount of words. So you can say, oh, I want 100 words, I want 200 words. And then it will print it out, and then people just read it on their way to work. Fantastic idea, right? So students can also build up their vocabulary, which is very important. Their repertoire can expand. Learners can recognize how the language works. So of course, the grammar is different to Portuguese. So beginners, for example, can see that there's an adjective and a noun. More advanced students can see inversion or third conditional, or the way that a sentence structure is formed. And they can see that naturally, right? So if they read, they're just picking it up, they're absorbing it. Students have the chance to learn about other cultures, which is also important because many people don't have the chance to go abroad, but they can learn about it through reading. And one very interesting point is that students can discuss fiction together, either online or face-to-face, and then they can get different points of view, right? Because everyone's got a different background, a different schemata. And so when they discuss, they, I've done this before where students have said, no, I didn't see it like that. I saw it like this, right? So it's very rich, a very rich experience. Okay. So let's have a look at some examples of famous 6-word stories. These are the shortest stories, I think, that have been written, and 2 here that are quite famous. Ernest Hemingway, he wrote For Sale, Baby Shoes Never Worn, around the 1920s. Okay, so obviously it's not very expansive, but you can get your students to predict what had happened, what will happen, why were the baby shoes never worn, why was the person selling them, who was the person selling them, etc. Okay, and another interesting one is from Margaret Atwood. I'm sure you know Margaret Atwood from Handmaid's Tales. So she wrote, longed for him, got him, shit. Right, so this could be another prediction. Why did she fall in love with him? How did she get him? What happened? Etc. Okay, so those are the shortest 6-word stories. And you can even challenge your students to write a 6-word story, right? Maybe in pairs, maybe individually. So it's got to make sense grammatically with vocabulary, but it's an interesting task. Okay. So remember I talked about literature. Literature is 140 characters. Okay, maximum. And let's have a look at this one. So it says, across the valley, a man plays sad songs. They fill me like night. Come over, I shout. I know those. But his music is so he can't hear. Would anyone like to guess what the word is in the gap? You can say or write in the chat. Any ideas? Gabrielle's writing something. Okay, Grace put down. It's so down. Okay, like blue, yeah. Short and sweet, Stefan. Morose, loud, low, down, loud, silent. Loud, okay. So I think we've got quite a few for loud. It is loud. Okay, but it could be something else, right? You could get your students to think of a word that goes there that makes sense, right? So this is from this site, and if you want to get the QR code, you can read more Twiterature. But if you have a Twitter account, you can just go on Twitter, just put Twiterature, you'll find many examples. Okay. Okay, so the next one, mini sagas. Now this one comes from an English teaching book, English File. Do any of you know English File? There's the British version and there's the American version. Yep. And this is actually from 2001. It's quite old, but I like this one. It's very cultural. So it starts off with, well, the title is Like Mother, Like Son. So it says, Dear Mummy, I hate this boarding school. Food awful, prefects bully me. So prefects are the older children in a boarding school that should look after the younger ones, but quite often they bully them. And then the son says, please take me home, love David. And then his mummy says, Dear David, nonsense, chin up. So chin up means be brave, forget about it and go forward. And then she says, mother. She doesn't even say love, mother. And then in 1997, David said, mother says, Dear David, I hate this home. Food awful. Nurses treat me like a child. Fetch me immediately, mother. So where do you think she is? She says, this home. What do you think? Deal with it. Yeah, right, Stefan. Yeah, a care center, an old people's home. Yeah, old people place. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. You're a step ahead of me. So the answer is, dear mother, nonsense. Chin up, David. Okay. So in fact, in this particular edition of English File, you have about, I don't know, 8 stories, 8 mini sagas, and they're quite fun. You know, they've all got a little twist. Okay. There's a QR code for more mini sagas, if you would like it. I'm going to give you lots of QR codes, okay? Clergy, yeah. It's very sad, isn't it? But unfortunately, well, maybe not nowadays, but it could be quite cultural. Because in Britain, there are many boarding schools and children are left there. I know somebody who went to boarding school and they were allowed to see their parents every 2 months and in the summer. And it's very strict. The dress code is very strict. They have to wear top hats on Sundays and pails for dinner. And it's a completely different world. And they're far away from their parents. So it's quite cultural. Okay, let's carry on. So now I would like to show you a short story which is suitable for A2 from the Common European Framework. And you can use this with adults. So if you would just like to read this part to yourself and then try and solve the green parts. Okay. Okay, great, Marianne. Marianne,
So fast.
would you like to? Sorry, Gabriel?
I said she's so fast.
She's so fast, right?
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, Marianne, would you like to read it out?
Okay, so hi, my name is Josh. I'll be 30 years old next Tuesday. I'm from London, the capital of England. Did you know that my country is part of the United Kingdom? The other countries in the UK are Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. Here's a map for you to see.
And here's the map. Okay, great. Thanks, Marianne. So you can do this with any text. You can actually take the first paragraph of a text that you're going to use with your students and do the same thing. Make so they have something to do, not just read it. Okay, it's quite a simple technique. Or you can do it with the whole text, or you can get students to do it with each other. So you put them in pairs, give them each a different text, and they can challenge the other pair. Okay. So let's carry on with the story. Okay, if you could read this then and tell me the answers. Anybody got the answers?
I'm in doubt about the last one.
I don't know the capital of Wales.
Yeah, I was like, I think it's Cardiff.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm cheating. I'm Googling it.
Oh, I didn't.
I'm totally
Cheating,
cheating. I'm
Gabriel.
sorry.
Gabriel, would you like to read it out?
Yes, as soon as I find the answer. Wait.
It's Cardiff.
It's cottage. Okay, thanks. I didn't know that. Right, so I'll do it. We just come back to the screen. So, the UK lies between the North Atlantic Ocean and the North Sea and is 20 miles from France. Here's an interesting fact for you. No one in the UK lives more than 75 miles from the sea. So now you can see how small it is. I can also say from Great Britain, yep, which is the island of England. Wales and Scotland, which that's bad reading. I'm sorry, I'm sleepy. The capital of Wales is Cardiff. The capital of Scotland is Edinburgh, and the capital of Northern Ireland is Belfast.
Right, thanks, Gabriel.
No
Right, so
problem.
now you know the capital of Wales is Cardiff.
Yes.
But that's okay. You can get your students to look online, you know, research, no problem. Ask ChatGPT. Okay, so we had some different types of exercises here, like the opposite of big, finding out the capital. And talking about numbers, I think it appeals to people who are more mathematical, right? Because there are some adults that, you know, I've got here in São Carlos, where I live, there's USP and Universidade Federal de São Carlos. And there are lots of mathematicians and exact science students, and they love these things with numbers. Okay, so we have one more part here. Would you like to read it? And let me just put some things here. Okay.
I think I'm gonna risk because this one is very easy. I mean, I hope it is because sometimes you think it is and it isn't. There might be something to cheat me. Oh my
Go
God.
for it, Clay. Go for it.
Okay, Gabriel, I hope you help me, please, okay, if needed. I went to primary school in London until I was 11 years old. In England, you start primary school when you're 5 years old. I remember my school very well. It was in an old Victorian building, and there was a small playground. We began school at 3 o'clock and finished at 4:30. We had lunch at school every day, and we ate a snack in the break times. Lunch was typically chicken, beef, or pork with vegetables and fries. Our snack was usually chips, chocolate, or fruit. I liked all my teachers, and my favorite subject was English. I loved writing stories and drawing pictures. I walked to school every day.
Thanks, Clay. Okay, so we had 3 o'clock, we had 4:30, or you can say 4:30. And then I put these two food items on purpose because in the UK, the first one would be chips and the USA fries. And the second one in the UK would be crisps and chips in the USA. Right? Just to confuse everyone. And that is cultural because British pupils eat exactly that for lunch. They eat chips and they eat crisps. They eat a lot of crisps as snacks. So did you, Sue? Did you go to school in the UK? Okay. So you can do it with many different things. Use your creativity. Okay. And then this is all leading up to personalizing it and transference to the student to talk about themselves. So actually this comes from a book which I'm going to show you now, which is free. It's got 4 short stories. It's a book I wrote. And you can either get it at this QR code on Amazon, or you can get it on my blog. So if you go to my blog, it's free. At Amazon, if you are not, I forgot what it's called now, the Kindle, there's a special thing that you have on Kindle. It's free, but if you don't have that, I think it's £1 or something like that. So this is a 5-chapter story, which is one of the stories in the book. And it goes on and it tells the story of Josh. And I think you'll be surprised because Josh is quite multicultural. Okay, he's not blonde with blue eyes. And he tells about his background, and it goes on until he tells us about his work, about his family, about where he studied, etc. Okay, so at the end of every chapter, you have this as if Josh is talking to you. Well, I've told you a bit about me. Now it's your turn. Complete the phrases below and tell your partner about yourself, your country, and your primary school, which is what we just saw. And so the students would get into pairs or groups, and then they would use these phrases. Hi, my name's Gabriel, and I'm from São Paulo, Brazil. My country lies between da da da. I went to primary school in, and then they use the same language. Okay, so it's a kind of comparison as well with a different culture, and they are using the language that they just read. Okay. Okie dokie. So let's carry on. And I'm going to show you another short story, which is B1 from the Common European Framework, and it's called An Unusual Day. We can always use pictures to introduce a topic. So what can you see in this picture? Anyone?
So a helicopter, a helipad, busy city.
Great, thanks. Great word, Gabriel. Helipad, right? Which is where the helicopter lands in big cities. Where do you think the city is? Any idea?
São Paulo.
São Paulo. So those of you who live in São Paulo, maybe this is familiar to you, helicopters going around and landing on helipads. Okay, so this woman is Mayara. She's Brazilian. What do you think her job is? You're all going like this, shrugging your shoulders.
She's the CFO of cat industry in specialized food. I don't know.
Okay, right. Great, Gabrielle. Sorry?
A stylist.
A stylist. She's an artist. She's a reporter. Okay, lots of possibilities, but actually she's a helicopter pilot.
Of course, we just saw a helicopter. Oh my God.
Wonderful.
Of course she is. Okay. And this is José, her husband. How long do you think they've been married?
10 years.
10 years.
2.
Anybody's guess.
2 years. More than this, I don't think so.
5 years, 6 months, 6 months. Whoa.
Got married yesterday. That's why they're going on a helicopter drive.
Ah, great, Gabrielle. 10 years during a flight. Excellent. Love your answers. Okay, they've been married for 6 years. Right, so I'm going to read out this first part of the story to you, and you'll see that there are some parts underlined. Don't worry about these parts at the moment. I'll tell you what they mean at the end, okay? So every morning, Mayara wakes up at 5 a.m. when her alarm clock goes off. After having a shower, she makes some strong coffee and lays the table for breakfast. José normally joins her for the first meal of the day, and they usually eat papaya with honey and a bread roll with cheese. So the bread roll with cheese is not pão de queijo, it's a bread roll with cheese. Okay. There's a picture. Okay. Let's carry on. It was a Tuesday morning, and Mayara drove to work as normal. She met her client, Mr. Silva, at Tamboré Airport and took him to the helicopter she was to use that day. She noticed that her client was carrying a black box. When they got to the helicopter, they sat down next to each other. Okay. Do you remember the name of Mayara's husband?
Jose?
Jose. That's right. And do you remember what they eat for breakfast normally?
Cheese roll, bread roll.
Bread roll?
Cheese.
And papaya
cheese.
with honey.
Yeah.
Papaya with honey.
Yeah, papaya with honey and a bread roll with cheese. Great. Okay. So here we have the helipad that Gabriel said. Mayada took Mr. Silva to helipad number 12 on the rooftop of a multinational company in Sao Paulo. He had told Mayada that he was just visiting Brazil on business. As they were chatting, Mayada thought that she could hear a hissing noise. Hiss. However, it soon stopped, and she forgot about it. She headed back to the airport. Okay, anybody remember anything about the story so far?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mayada has been married for 6 years with Jose. She's getting up every morning and taking a strong coffee, and then she lays a table for breakfast. Her husband accompanies her with, they eat papaya with honey and the bread rolls. And she went by car, or she drove to the airport, to the helipad, and chose one of the helicopters. Her first client was Mr. Silva, who is visiting Brazil. And they are in Sao Paulo, yeah, they are going somewhere.
Ah, wow, and Karim, congratulations. Excellent. Okay, here's the next part of the story. As she was flying back to the airport, she suddenly realized that Mr. Silva had left the black box on the seat beside her. What do you think was in the black box?
Black mamba.
Snake.
A black
snake.
what? Sorry, Gabriel?
It's a snake, yeah. It's
A
a
snake.
very
A snake?
venomous snake, yeah. Like a mamba.
The hissing.
Ah, any other ideas?
A grasshopper. No, they don't hiss, do they? Maybe a lizard. An iguana.
Lizard, yes.
Danny said something with a hissing noise. Okay, let's see them. So there was a conversation between Mayada and Mr. Silva because Mayada phoned Mr. Silva. Hello, Mr. Silva, you left the box in the helicopter. Hello, Mayada. I'm so sorry, but I need the box as there's something very important inside. Can you fly back and bring it to me, please? Or Mayada. Mayada took the box to Mr. Silva. The hissing sound started again. Mr. Silva got the box and said, thank you. Could you please tell me what is inside your box? I'm a bit of a busybody, or should I say, curious. Mayada called out to Mr. Silva. Mr. Silva opened the box and
A
Oh,
snake.
God.
A snake.
a snake came out.
That's right.
A big green poisonous snake came out. Well done, guys. Okay, so why did I underline all of those parts in the story? Because I'm going to use them now so that the students can get into pairs and retell the story with using these prompts, okay? Just like Anne-Karin did, but she didn't have the prompts. So the story starts, Mayada's alarm clock goes off, and they remember what time it went off. Do they remember what they had for breakfast, etc. Okay, and you can do this with any story, any short story. You know those short stories from publishers for different levels, abridged versions. You can get your students to read one of those and then do this exercise. It's great. And they can look back at the text to remember as well. They're not forbidden to look back at the text, right? But they try to piece it together. And then they can even try to write it. Okay. And they can also think about how the story ends. Okay, why did the guy have a snake in his box? What happened, etc. Okay, so this story comes from this book, which is published by Giselle. It's 10 years old now, but there are lots of activities, and there are two stories. One is An Unusual Day, and there's another story there as well, which is for B1 level. Okay, and if you want more advanced stories, this is on Amazon. It's got 20 stories, and you can see that the stories are all in English. The titles are in English, but the description or the aims are in Portuguese because the instructions are in Portuguese. Okay, but the stories are in English and it's got exercises. But this is for an advanced level, okay, B2, C1. All right, it's got poems, it's got stories, and it's got lots of exercises. Okay, so another QR code, but here is all my contacts. Here are all my contacts. So I'm on Instagram if you want to connect with me. I've got a blog, so you can get your free book there and have a look at some activities and all sorts of things. There's a video for a story there as well. My email and my website. And of course, I'm at Faculdade Forte teaching. So I hope to see you one day. Okay, do you have any questions?